Thursday, everybody. It's Jim, it's Amadeus, and it's soccer. So, who could ask for anything more, right, Amadeus? We got it all here today. So, there you go. What was yesterday was the big day of a lot of soccer. Anything that jumped out at you as you were watching it?
Yeah, there was a whole slate of MLS yesterday. Yeah, obviously you had the marquee matchup of LAFC versus Seattle. LAFC took that one nothing. So now they got two wins in a row. They beat Sporting Kansas City before that. Now Seattle. So maybe they can gain some momentum now and start to get back on track after their Champions League depression that they've been in over the last few weeks.
The It's kind of like a post drunken stupor in that regard.
It really was because they lost to the Houston Dynamo twice and they didn't score a goal in either of those matches. And then
Well, I remember us talking about that. You had said, well, they lost four. I think it was 4-0 to Houston. You go, oh, that was in Houston, and we both said, they'll bounce back, and they did bounce, but not back, and that was a problem. So yeah, I mean, it's good to see that they're finding their way because it's important to have good teams in big cities. As much as that pains people to hear, to get the following and the advertising and all the other stuff you need the big cities to have decent teams. And LA only has 3 soccer teams, so one of them has to be good.
The Galaxy has been so bad. They've been one of the worst teams of the year. So they need one LA team to pull through at least.
Yeah, it's we'll get to LA baseball a little bit later, but I just got the list and let's go over it. It's going to be fun. There's going to be a lot of soccer on Peacock this summer, and let me just start with one of the things that was announced and should be a surprise to anybody. NBC and Peacock, they announced their broadcast team. Their pregame shows, Rebecca Lowe. We all know Rebecca. She's great at what she does. Robbie Earl, Tim Howard, and Stephen Warnock will be part of the analyst thing. And they're going to do an interesting thing, Amadeus. They're going to put much as we've seen it done before in other sports, they're going to put the anchor desk pitch side. So somewhere along the pitch in Lincoln Financial Stadium, which is where they'll do the first one, they're going to put this desk in. So they'll be doing it. And I think actually, I don't know if you've ever seen this, certainly during the World Series and during post-game shows in football. It's so easy for them then to get guests to just walk over and take over the set. So I think they're hoping for that with regard to what's going to happen in these matches that they're going to have. Joe Spiegel and Daniel Mann will be the play-by-play guys on all of the live matches. They'll obviously alternate. You can see Tim Earl, Howard, Higginbotham, Warnock all serving as analysts. And so the schedule is like so. And the platform is Peacock Saturday, which is 22nd of July. And that will have Chelsea and Brighton. Then on Sunday the 23rd, get ready, it's actually a 3:30 game. Fulham and Brentford, also in Philadelphia. They will have on the 23rd, the 7 o'clock game in Philly is going to be Newcastle and Aston Villa. Then in Atlanta on the 26th, they'll have Brentford and Brighton again. This one will be in Atlanta. Also on the 26th in Orlando, it's Fulham and Aston Villa. Wednesday the 26th at 8:15 p.m., Chelsea, Newcastle. That's also in Atlanta. Friday the 28th, it's Brighton and Newcastle. That one will be played in the Meadowlands in Jersey. Then noon Aston Villa and Brentford. That's going to be played over in Landover, Maryland, at the Washington Football Team Stadium. And then they close out their summer season with Chelsea and Fulham again over at Landover at the stadium in Washington. So all those games will be on Peacock, as well as the last 3 games will be Aston Villa. Aston Villa and Brentford is on NBC. Chelsea and Fulham is going to be on NBC, and so that's there's everything else is on Peacock except for 2. So that's I'm going to shake out. And make your plans. I know the funny thing is these games sell out, and so I'm quite sure that they're going to be very happy to see this go. So, any of those, those are always interesting because it's kind of like spring training in baseball. There are a number of ways. A lot of guys come, a lot of folks who are big fans. I mean, again, they sell those games out in like a heartbeat. So, would any of those games be of interest to you on that the docket there? Because again, we don't know who's on the team.
Yeah, so definitely from a handicapping standpoint, probably won't be looking at those games. I know they call it the summer series, but really they're just friendlies. That's all they are. They're club friendlies, and honestly, those games are more for they're for the people, right? Like those cities that they're in. It's for those people to come out and watch the team in person. Maybe you get a chance to meet some of the players, and really, as you said, it's like the spring training, right? It's supposed to be a nice outing for the people in that city. So if I was in one of those cities, absolutely, I would try to go. But as for, a handicapping standpoint, not going to really find much value because, as you said, we don't know who's going to play in these games. This is the vacation time for the A players. So they're definitely not going to be too many of them playing here. And yeah, so from the handicapping standpoint, not much value. And so probably won't watch them on TV either for that same reason. But like I said, if you're in the cities, absolutely go out there. It's just I'm not gonna catch a flight to Atlanta or Philadelphia, but absolutely if they were visiting Toronto, and I know usually we get some of the Italian teams come closer to the fall, so maybe I'll go check that out. But yeah, definitely if you're in one of those cities, go check out the game. It'll definitely be a good outing.
It's really quite funny. I mean, as I said, they sell out quick. And what happens is it's really kind of the people in the United States having an opportunity to feel what it's like to be at a Premier League game, without necessarily the talent, but the jerseys are there. I can't tell you how many people, and I've been to these friendlies, wear the jersey of their favorite team. I mean, you'll see more. Like at Chelsea, you'll see a lot of Chelsea jerseys. You'll see, Manchester United. You'll see just about every when Barcelona came here and Inter Milan and all that. They've got fans, and they really enjoy, the whole vibe of international soccer.
It's kind of the same. It's kind of the same as when like the NFL goes to England, right? You might have the Jaguars, Packers playing, but you got everybody with their Titans and their 49ers jerseys. And I even saw some guy with a Yankees and a Marlins hat one time, and I was like, wrong sport, man.
Oh, hey, they don't care.
Yeah, MLB. There you go. They're knocking for you.
I remember an interview somebody did in London prior to the game, and the fans were outside, and he had an Aaron Rodgers jersey on, and the guy who was interviewing said, "Hey, see you're wearing an Aaron Rodgers jersey." He said, "Are you a fan of Aaron Rodgers?" He goes, "I don't know. I don't know what he does yet. I know he's a quarterback." He said, "I just bought this last night because I knew I was coming to the game." So it's an educational situation for for some. And I mean, you get the whole vibe. I mean, you get the people with the scarves, you get the people with the jerseys. They, Liverpool, when they play here, they sing the song walking up to the stadium. So it's really kind of fun because you do get that that feeling of what a Premier League game would be like if you happen to be seeing it in over in Europe. There has been talk in all the leagues in Italy, Spain, and say all the leagues: Italy, Spain, Premier League, and
Big Five.
Yeah, the Big Five. That there would not, they might consider playing a game in Jersey or in DC or Philly, over just like the NFL does, just to bring a game there. But thus far, that hasn't come to pass, and it's kind of odd because so many owners of Major League Sports here in the States own teams over there. So, I'm a little confused as to why that can't be done. But right now, the international body is not letting them. They can entertain it, but they're not letting them. Make a flight over here and then fly back at this point. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think the issue with that is it's because of the way the schedule is done, right? Every team plays each other twice, home and away. So if you take a home match away for one of these teams to go play on a neutral site, that kind of makes the entire schedule lopsided, especially depending what those two teams are.
Right.
So I can definitely see why that's a problem. Personally, I always thought it was kind of a problem in the NFL as well. It wasn't really fair to take away that home thing, right? Now, the way they've done it now with the extra game, I think it makes perfect sense. Every team plays 8 home, 8 away, and 1 mandatory neutral site. That makes perfect sense now with the odd, because now the NFL has put themselves in a situation with the odd number that you got to have some teams playing more home games and some teams playing more away games in one season.
Well, there's that, and then there's that travel. They try to set it up so that the teams that play get the bye the following week, so you don't have to fly over and your short week is a 5 or 6 hour time delay, or in the case of if it's a West Coast team.
At least they don't have to coordinate with 3 other teams in the building too.
Right. Yeah, that's always another key thing to have happen. It's but it is interesting, and like you said, for the first couple were the Jaguars, because Jaguars ownership, had Tottenham Hotspur, so they went over and played in the stadium there, and so they gave up a home game in Jacksonville. And that was always between the giving up of a home game and the coaches loathing the possibility of the 5 hour or 6 hour time delay. That was big beef with them. But at the end of the day, they came out and realized that it was much better to do it. Now they're even doing it in Germany. So it's an interesting concept. I don't think, and I think you're right, I don't think we're going to get a regular season game here in the United States, but it's nice to see them, and you get 4 or 5 games this summer where if you're in Orlando, Atlanta, Philly, Jersey, or DC, you've got a pretty good shot at seeing some good soccer and then some fun opportunities to get that feeling of Premier League soccer without necessarily getting on a plane like Sean and flying to England.
Yeah, and I definitely think the NFL needs to do the opposite and revisit the every team playing the neutral site, because I'm not saying send every team overseas to go play in Europe, but they have the Mexico games too. They do have the Mexico City game. Man, you could do a game in Canada, which they never do, and you know how many fans there are up here? If they had the Buffalo Bills come up to Toronto, guarantee that game gets sold out. I guarantee it. I know a ton of Bills fans.
Would they play the game in the Rogers Center, or is there a stadium there that they could play it at?
I mean, they could play it where the Argos play, but it's kind of a Mickey Mouse stadium. So the Rogers Center might be the best bet, especially since, they've already completed phase one of their three-phase renovation. So maybe when they're done the three phases, right, it'll be more, because that's the thing, is it's really old and made of concrete. So they're just trying to, I guess, modernize it a bit.
Sure.
And once that happens, maybe they could host a game there. You never know.
Well, I know that they've got a stadium in Vancouver that could do it, and
yes, definitely. BC plays. It's where the BC Lions play
Yeah.
and the Vancouver Whitecaps, and that's where the World Cup's going to be in 4 years. There are a few matches in Vancouver, and it's got a huge capacity. I think almost 50,000. So definitely great stadium.
And if you wanted to visit, a relic, you could go out to Montreal and play in that dome, which I know there'd be a lot of people that would be the first to push the plunger to blow it away, but we'll see how it goes. But no, you're right. I think they should play a game in Canada. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And, the natural for Toronto would be Detroit against the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, and I know a ton of Canadians who like the NFL over the CFL, so I'm telling you, this game would get sold out.
It's funny. I met a couple of young ladies. I better make this story good because of my wife here, real quick. From Canada, at a baseball game in Detroit a couple of years ago that I was doing, and they were wearing the Tigers merch, and I said, "Oh, okay. Where are you from?" And they told me that they were from London, Ontario. And I said, "Oh, and they said, we're big Tiger fans. We just go to, we try to get to as many games as we can, watch them all the time on TV. And, and so, the southern part of Ontario leans toward Detroit, but we all know up by Buffalo, that's Bills territory. So it's good. And I do think it'd be fun to play it. As they say, probably would have to be a West Coast game because of the stadium situation. But other than that, I think they, just put this down in another one of our brilliant ideas that we have to get to the commissioner, and let them know they need to do that. But, if you're going to play in Mexico City, there's no reason you couldn't play in Canada. It's, the flight to Vancouver is not that much longer than the flight to Seattle. So.
That's the other thing. You could have the Seahawks go up to Vancouver and play there.
Right.
I'm sure there's now. I don't live out in BC, but I'm sure there's a ton of Seahawk fans, because every time the Blue Jays go to play the Mariners, it sells out. There's almost more Blue Jays fans in the building. So obviously they're traveling.
My one of my best friends, Dave Sims, is the voice of the Seattle Mariners. And he says, you do not know how many Canadian fans we have. He said that I get emails, I get texts, I get, all kinds of, social media posts of his work, in Canada. So, because he and his wife, decided to go just for a weekend. And he goes, there wasn't anywhere in Vancouver that people didn't know. And he goes, which is funny because I can go all around Seattle and nobody knows. But he goes, the people in Vancouver were really cool about it. So, good on the fans, and hopefully they'll get their opportunity to see football. And and also I'm surprised that they aren't playing some friendlies in Canada.
Yeah, see, these are things. Like I said, we'll probably get the Italian teams tend to come closer to August, because there's a huge Italian and Portuguese population in Toronto. So definitely, we'll probably get some Portuguese and some Italian clubs coming. But it's, like I said, it's usually more in August, I noticed. So, but yeah, I've seen Roma and Juventus come over a few times. So. Yeah, definitely. I do expect there to be, just not the Premier League, which is interesting, but definitely Serie A knows what they're doing. They know where the population is heavy, and they're like, all right, throw a game in that city.
Yeah, I know that I used to do radio in Montreal on the Team 990 which is their um, which I guess is TSN now. And Tony Marinaro used to do a show on soccer on on the station, and it was wild how many as you say, Italian fans called the show and specifically wanted to talk. I mean, he could have talked for 2 hours and not touched a team outside of Italy. So clearly, there is a fan base up there, and seems to be doing pretty well. So there you go,
Yeah,
boys and girls.
definitely.
We were talking earlier about Los Angeles and teams being bad and teams not being bad. The funny thing, last night, I tried to watch Ohtani play against the Dodgers. I couldn't. I just couldn't stay away. But there was a great article this morning in the Los Angeles Times, which says was that Ohtani's audition for the Dodgers. And it's like he lost 2-0, but he pitched well. So I don't know if it was his audition to move up the coast a little bit, but the Angels say that if they're in the hunt, whenever the playoff stretch continues. Right now they're I think about a game and a half or 2 games out of the wild card spot. In heavy traffic, there's a lot of teams in that spot at this point. They're not going to trade
about the entire AL East.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. The entire AL East is in there, and then you throw in, pretty much 2 guys from the West.
Yeah, the Angels and the Astros, and that's about
Right.
it.
That's about the size. It doesn't take a long time to call a roll in that group. But Ohtani, we talked about. I can see Ohtani in it, especially because I think, if I'm not mistaken, Kershaw's off the books. I don't know if he has any money. If he has any years left on his contract, but either that or they just signed him to a 2-year extension or something. I can't remember, but at the end of the day, they can afford to sign an Ohtani, which is going to probably be close to, and it's hard to even mention it, $500 million.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I definitely think he stays on the West Coast. I know you think that as well. So
Yeah.
I mean, good from the Dodgers standpoint, and obviously they're always competitive, so they have that going for them. But the Dodgers are only in 3rd place themselves in the NL West right now. They got a bit of a juggernaut. All of a sudden, the Diamondbacks are the team to beat in the NL, and then the San Francisco's gotten hot now, and they're starting to come up. And now you look at the Marlins, and they're 9 games above 500 in the NL East. So if the Dodgers aren't going to win the division, they still have some. They're still fighting with some decent teams here to get, of course, the Central. It's just like the AL, the Central's garbage. So
yeah, the funny thing about statistics in that regard, right? Every year that the Giants, every year we're talking now over the last 3 times, the Giants have won the wild card spot, they won the World Series. So if you're a Giant fan, you don't want them to win the West. You want them to be the wild card team because tradition shows that perhaps they're just much better when they're on the wild card thing. Now that even I know that normally it's the wild card team is the hottest team, the team that's on a roll coming in, and that's why.
Well, look at the Phillies last year.
Yeah. I mean, they dismissed the Mets like they didn't have anything to do, and then went on to go to the World Series. So, we'll see. But I think it's kind of fun to see that Ohtani played against the Dodgers last night. And, he played well, and the Dodgers was able to eke out a couple of runs and win the game 2-0. But some interesting things. When we're way far away from the trade deadline and what could be happening, but we'll see what happens with Ohtani. We also know that Soto is going to be a free agent at the end of the season. I take Ohtani 3 days, I mean, 5 days out of 7 over Soto, even though Soto can play a position. Um, he's just not. To me, I would rather have Utami than Soto, and Milan's not even playing well, so that makes it even easier.
I mean, Otani technically does play a position. It's a very important position.
Yeah, he does play pitcher, and he does. Although my understanding is, early in his career, a couple of years before he came to the United States, he played right field on days he didn't pitch. So he can play. I suppose he can play right field.
So
There's
he's
no-
all around. He's literally a triple threat.
Yeah, you do not want to. If I'm the manager or the general manager of the team, I really don't want to see him in right field. But that's okay. If push came to shove and somebody got hurt, then okay, put him out there. But
does he play catcher too? Can he catch his own
I
pitch?
think not. I don't think that's part of his many skill set. I don't think that's it. Tonight, by the way, is the NBA draft. For those of you who are NBA fans, I just thought I would get that in there as a public service to you. I implore you not to sit there and spend 3 hours of your life watching it, but you're going to do it anyway, so there you go.
I feel like the draft was already decided when the lottery was done.
Yeah, I mean, and there's been a ton of trades. And then you get this little snippet that LeBron, I wouldn't mind, and he's like thinking out loud, I wouldn't mind playing up the coast in San Francisco and playing with Steph Curry before my career is over. And you're like, where did that come from?
And then Curry's like, I don't know about that one.
There.
Yeah, stay down
away
there.
from this place. It's like he's I don't think he's inviting LeBron up. There's beef between those guys. I don't know where it started, but there's definitely beef there. So,
and then just to get like some excitement for the draft, now you're starting to hear the story like, oh, Scoot Henderson thinks he should go number 1. Okay, well, that's nice that he thinks that. He's not going number 1.
I can tell you right now, there's probably 20 guys that think you're going to go number 1, and they're not going to. So it doesn't matter. You can think all you want to that it's number 1, but nah, not so much in that regard. But it's crazy. It's I'm just gonna pull up real quick here, NBA draft lottery projections. I'm sorry, and it keeps coming up the same person, so we know that's probably not gonna.
He's been coming up for the last year.
Yeah, I mean, you got Victor, and I'm going to butcher the name, so to San Antonio. Is it Wembyama?
I think it's Wembanyama, but just call him Wemby.
Okay.
That's what everybody seems to call him, Wemby.
He plays for Metropolitans 92 in France. He's a forward and a center. But from what I've seen, and I don't, not like I watch every game he plays, but what I've seen, he plays a lot like a Dirk Nowitzki player.
And that's exactly why the Spurs want him.
Yeah. If he's anything like Dirk Nowitzki, then good on him. It's funny here on the mock draft that I'm looking at. It's this position he plays, big forward. So it's like big forward. So it must be a 4, I guess.
Is that more of those position merging that?
I'm thinking, the Karl Malone would be a big 4, like a 5. A 4, he's not a center, so he's not 5. So he has to be a 4. He can shoot like a 3. So there you go. Scoot Henderson, they have going to Charlotte. Brendan Miller, he's a wing, forward, so he's probably a 3. From Alabama is one of the Blazers. They have it. The Rockets are going to get Amen Thompson from Overtime Elite, and right after him is Esor Thompson, his brother, who is also a guard, and both of them are from Overtime Elite. So those are academies. So yeah, And pretty much the top 5 or so picks are players. Only one of them is a player from a known university in the United States.
Yeah, a lot of G leaguers and just overseas.
Overseas G League and the academies, like Overtime Elite. So there's that. The Magic will take Anthony Black, a guard from Arkansas. They project Indiana's going to take Jarris Walker, a forward from Houston. The Wizards, who traded to get this pick, Cam Whitmore, a wing out of Villanova. The Jazz, it's Taylor Hendricks, a forward out of Central Florida. And the Dallas Mavericks, getting the last, the 10th spot, is going to Duke. And they're going to get Derek Lively II, Usage Center. So that's what you can be looking for. Probably after the number 1 pick, all of those others will fall into other positions, but at least one we know where they're going. So I wouldn't surprise me if they have a contract signed by the time that they draft the guy. So
Yep.
And there could be trades. We'll see. But there's your update on what's going on in the NBA tonight. It's draft night, and are there any soccer today that we should be paying attention to?
Yeah. So there's no MLS because they like to do the.
They like to play the games every day.
But Brazil and Argentina both have games tonight, and just like they did last night. And I'll drop a free play for everybody in Argentina. I like the plus 165 on Godoy Cruz.
Okay, sounds good. By the way, quick update on the baseball scoreboard. The Arizona Diamondbacks are down the road here playing against the Washington Nationals, 2-1 in the bottom of the 6th. You got the Braves and the Phillies up at the bank, and that's in the bottom of the 5th. And no score with Elder and batting right now is Kyle Schwarber. Braves and Phillies, and then Athletics and the Guardians. That game's tied at 1, and that's the bottom of the 5th in Cleveland. Twins 5, Red Sox nothing. That's in the bottom of the 5th, being played out in Minneapolis. A late start, 3:45, Padres Giants. That game will be played. You got Blake Snell against Wood. Royals Rays. You got Hewlett, who's pitching for the Royals, and Shane McClanahan trying to become the first 12-game winner in Major League Baseball.
That's like a minus 400 for the Rays.
Is that what it is?
It's close. It's like 365 or something like that.
What is there something on McClanahan for the first 5?
Let me check. Actually,
I'm just curious. I mean, he's 12 and 1. I mean, he's 11 and 1. So,
it's still going to be juice, but it'll probably be better than that. So let's see, where is the
wouldn't have to be better. Wouldn't have to be too good to be better.
Yeah, so they're about minus 350 now. So I guess a bit of money came in on the Royals. I guess.
Can't imagine who it is, but okay.
Yeah. All right. First 5. Well, that's the run line. The run line is I don't want the run line. Hold on.
No, you don't want the run. That's. So
the run line, it's a 0, right? So if it's tied, it's a push, but you don't want that. You want
while you're doing that at 6:40, if you're in Miami, the Marlins are taking on the Buccos. The Yankees are at home to the Seattle Mariners. That will be 7:05 start tonight in the Bronx. And that's your game. It's an abbreviated schedule for today. So there you go. So it is. We got now the Yankees and the Mariners. I think that might be a makeup game because I think the Mariners are not going to be in New York over the weekend. But let me see.
All right, I got it. It's about minus 200 for the first 5 Rays. So about half the price.
Yeah, Seattle. This game against the Yankees, Seattle's playing today, is a makeup game because I knew that Seattle was going to be in Baltimore over the weekend. And so Texas goes to play the Yankees. So that ought to be a good little series there in the Bronx. The Mets and the Phillies. That's Apple TV tomorrow night. That's their game, the Phillies and the Mets. And let's see what else we got here. Going over Houston's at the Dodgers. So you got a interesting. The Angels are in Colorado. So Tani gets the rare air. Big battle, yeah. How did I miss this one? Arizona and San Francisco. That should be a good series. So you got Arizona and San Francisco. You got Oakland is in Toronto, so that's a good, pretty good chance you can go watch the Jays win a game there against them. Tampa Bay has a 4-game set with Kansas City. Atlanta is facing a red-hot Cincinnati team. When you get a team on a roll like that, how does that factor into your thoughts when are going to wager?
It depends. Everybody's different. I know a few handicappers that love to stand in front of the trains, and I know a few that love to ride the trains. So really, it all depends on the handicapper, the specific spot. The Reds and the Giants, they're both on a 10-game win streak right now. They actually share the longest active streak. So it'll be interesting. Both have just been sweeping everybody. So I think though, when you hit a certain number like 10, I start to just stay off and watch because they're going to lose a game eventually.
Yeah, 10's a lot.
But that doesn't mean they're going to lose 3 straight. So, you wait for that loss and then maybe take them afterwards.
Right. Bill, it's good to see you again. My gosh, it's been a while. Sean's on a vacation here for the moment. And you got some nice plus last night on Austin. 175 on Austin last night. Good for you, Bill. Good to see you back. Are you, Bill, you going to go and watch some of the friendlies? We talked about it earlier. I don't know if you caught it, but I think, Bill, I think you've said you're in the D.C. area, and there's going to be some friendlies in the D.C. area. So it might be something that you want to do. Looking real quick to see what's going on with that. And I just got a Walmart ad, so obviously that's important. Let's see.
Gotta get your Walmart in.
Yeah, kind of. Even if you do, you don't, right? So let me look. No. Nope. Don't have it yet. It's all right. I was going to give you those games, but we had the games up at one point. Now I don't have them, but anyway, there's a lot of, last week we had the U.S. Open golf. They're back to normal. And from that standpoint, so we have a lot of good stuff coming up, which we'll talk about tomorrow too, over the weekend, which should be a fun weekend for baseball. As we just said, there's going to be some very interesting series. We're going to get some, good soccer coming up over the weekend. And things, they'll probably still be talking about the draft at that point. We won't, but they might be. They still be talking about it. Any other things going on that you want to highlight today, Amadeus?
No, just a bit of soccer tonight in South America, and then it'll probably be a slow Friday for soccer because everything will be on the weekend. So
that's the way it works. And so we'll chat about a little bit of baseball tomorrow, a little bit of soccer, and whatever else seems to be in the forefront of the of what's going on in sports. So we'll get to that. Bill, we hope that you come back and ask some questions tomorrow. That'd be fun. And Amadeus, why don't you, before we get out of here, tell people where they can find all of your interesting information and your picks.
And yes, you can get my plays at bigal.com and pickadvisor.com. I got 2 up in the MLB. I got I think 4 up in Brazil and 2 up for Argentina. So it's gonna be a wonderful night. I also got my total of the month for Brazil, the Brazilian league. So go check it out.
All right. So there you go. All right, gang. We got to get out of here, but we thank you for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow. I'm Jim. He's Amadeus, and until tomorrow, everybody have a great day.